can't get late and then expect to go early. Sometimes if things don't work like that. So I'm going to borrow some time to panel for this evening before we dive into Q&A. We don't want to go with that question actually. And right from the afternoon, those questions you have there. So you allow us to have our last panel for this afternoon, which is on gender inclusion and social protection in finance. I think that's a very exciting topic. And what makes it even more exciting is that the person moderating it is none other than Dr. Angela Nakafero, who is the Commissioner for Gender in the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. So without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome Dr. to give remarks. In the meantime, I want to recognize and appreciate V. Money Wiser. If you look at your table, you will find something that looks like this. It is a bag, actually. They are at the back. In case you need more information, you can actually go visit them and see how you can be money wiser. In case you have a young one who can invest in this piggy bank, you can clap for them because they have gladly donated this one to us. Thank you so much. Over to you, Doctor. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Editon. Members, distinguished guests, protocol observed. My name is Angela Nakafero. I serve as the Commissioner, Gender and Women Affairs, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. I add my voice to thank for offering us an opportunity to dive into issues of gender inclusion and social protection. As a country, we've done relatively well in terms of promoting the right to education and training, health, even on our rate of maternal mortality has reduced significantly. We've done well in terms of political participation, ladies and gentlemen. We've not done well in terms of economic empowerment. So for me, this is an exciting day where we want to discuss issues around women's economic empowerment and what we need to do in terms of accelerating the gains and sustaining the benefits. All of us, since the beginning of this meeting, we've realized that women are the majority of the beneficiaries of microfinancing in Ugandan circles. Better borrowers, better savers, but what's happening to their enterprises? Are we seeing gradual growth of women-owned enterprises? If not, what are the issues regarding access to finance? What is the size of the kind of financing that women are accessing? Are they utilizing the finances well? What about other gendered issues regarding access to finance? Issues of economic exploitation, issues of dependence ratios, but also issues around gender-based violence. I'm glad, ladies and gentlemen, that today we have a seasoned gender expert who is going to take us through some of the issues around gender and microfinance, but also take us through in terms of the lessons of programs that are taking place and how does the future look like in terms of promoting microfinance and gender inclusion and social protection. So allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to invite none other than Dr. Alamazan Madanda. Can you please join me on the stage? Dr. Alamazan Madanda is serving as a Senior Gender Technical Advisor of CARE International in Uganda, and has researched extensively around gender issues in this country, including access to microfinance And of course, will help us appreciate what we need to do to ensure that women are able to be supported to develop their businesses and benefit from the national economic development. So Dr. Madanda, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Commissioner for Gender and Human Affairs. I think I write on the protocol that was established this morning, so let me say protocol observed. And thank you all of you for, I was worried that it would be 4 in the room by this time. We are still this very good number. I will attempt to talk about finance and gender inclusion and social protection, which is very broad. I'm saying that attempt because it's very broad. So expect me to simply scratch a few things. But let me say a little bit that I work for Care International in Uganda. And for those who may not be aware of CARE, CARE is an acronym for Cooperative for Assistance and Relief Everywhere. It's an international organization started around the end of the Second World War, 1945, but right now serves in over 100 countries. Now, in Uganda, CARE started in 1969. A few years before I was born. I hope everybody in the room was born then. So at the moment we work in all the refugee settlements in Uganda. For Uganda one, but also in all regions in over 40 districts. So we are both humanitarian organization as well as a development organization, but we started as humanitarian. Currently, we run 4 programs. And there's a reason I'm telling you this because it's going to hint on what we talk about in terms of financial inclusion. And the 4 programs are livelihoods, so we look at economic empowerment, studies around gender and economic empowerment estimate that the current gender inequality in terms of economic empowerment is likely to take us between 80 and about 120 years to close that gap. So I want to hope that we shall be around to see that. Some of us. But it's quite enormous. The gap within the economic farming sector is more enormous compared to, say, education, where in some countries like Uganda, the gap has been closed, like at primary level and other countries, compared to political representation. If you go to Rwanda, for example, in parliament, more women than men, and so on. But within the economic, the gap is enormous. So this is a serious issue to deal with. So livelihoods, we try to work on that. Our second program is climate justice. Abby talked about that, so issues of climate mitigation, risk mitigation, and so on. And then the third program is around gender justice, and in that area we work on issues of preventing and responding and trying to eliminate gender disparities, which is so widespread globally, but also work on sexual reproductive health rights. Commissioner mentioned about Uganda now having reduced maternal mortality significantly after a long struggle. I think that is something worth celebration, but still, of course, continue to work. The fourth and the last program is Humanitarian Development Nexus program, where we work on the intersection between emergency and development. That intersection is important for Uganda because refugees here stay for just 3 months and go away. The refugee population in Uganda stays a little longer due to the favorable climate. Now, in all these programs, we infuse financial inclusion in all of them. So we, as here in Uganda, we write on financial inclusion as not just financial inclusion per se, but especially through village service and loan associations and groupings as a way of keeping people together because they have a discussion around the money, but also use that as a platform to infuse other programs. So this financial inclusion is very important. Now, in terms of gender, the vision of care is that our impact group is women and girls. So everything we do, we must impact women and girls. So if we are really around financial inclusion, we must impact women and girls positively. Now, we distinguish between impact group and beneficiaries or project participants. So we work with men and boys and women and girls to impact women and girls. So that is critical for us. And one thing I want to say also is that in terms of this discussion, we want to try and see how does that gender inclusion and social protection manifest in terms of this area of finance. And when we speak about inclusion, what exactly do we mean? Right? So there are different categories we are talking about here. And this is in line, for instance, also with the national thinking. So if you look at age, then you're looking at youth inclusion, for example, inclusion of the elderly, inclusion of all sorts of categories. If you look at gender, at the minimum, you're looking at men, women, boys, and girls, all forms of genders that you want to think about. If you look at disability, all the various disabilities. But in Uganda also, it's very important to look at location, because the rural and the urban, as we had in the previous discussions, not always having the same advantage or facing the same disadvantage. And of course, also in terms of migration status, when I was working at the back then, I saw one organization that put up a pull-up banner, saying they have finance products for refugees, for example, because refugees face specific challenges that nationals may not be facing in terms of participating in a financial sector. And what does this framework say? In summary, it says, and if I'm comparing this to financial inclusion, that if you want to have success in financial inclusion, you work on issues at individual level. You work on issues surrounding the individual, and then you work on the underlying and structural issues. In other words, if I, an individual, to access financial services, there must be some, characteristics that I possess to be able to access the services. This could be skills, information, literacy, etc., etc. They are having collateral, and so on and so on. But then, if I belong to a particular household, a particular community, a particular religion, a particular social environment, there are relations I have to deal with, right? If I am a woman, I may have to seek permission from my husband. I'm also told some husbands also have to engage their wives, right? So the relations determine whether you access, and also if you access, whether you utilize what you have accessed. So relations are important, and this can impact. I think in Uganda you have heard of the discussion around Islamic banking. There are some people who cannot borrow or even sell if there is something called interest in it. And so that influences whether or not they will partake of that service. for example, that God gives them total protection. They don't take up insurance because they think they are training their creator. So all these factors that are important that you have to think when you are dealing with relations and financial inclusion. And then there are issues which are underlying, structural issues, and I just mentioned two for this discussion. One, for example, is what is within the policy issues, and I'm not talking about policy issues or regulatory issues, or I'm not just meaning like national policies, global policies. What is in those small words that come with those agreements that people sign? Are there some kind of exclusive or exclusionary provisions that might keep out certain people and include others? And how about the regulatory policies and so on? But very important, especially for us from the gender perspective, is the issue of gender norms, social norms. Certain gender social norms might impact the way we interact with financial services. For instance, if the norms say that in this family, in this community, it's only a particular gender that can decide over issues of money, then some people will be excluded, or they have to negotiate those norms. So I think there's a group, there was a presenter talking about climate issues. Just last month, we were doing some field work as one of the communities, and the norm there in that community is that women cannot decide on just planting a tree. They can't make that decision according to the norm in that community because they do not own land, because they do not have control over land. And that is now last month. So there are norms that influence the way we operate. So that's how we think about it. So therefore, if we have this framework of where there are issues around individuals, issues around social relations, issues around structure, then how do we move forward? Because that is very critical in terms of moving forward. And I will come back to that and try to persuade you to join me to do that. I will not go through most of these statistics, but just to mention that within the financial sector, there are inequalities, there are points of disadvantage on the basis of gender, right? On the basis of age, on the basis of location, and so on. And even if you talk about, for instance, reaching out to people through digitalization or digitization, like I've seen some of us talk about that, there's also the gender digital divide, whereby gender intersects with technology to deny some people access to that. Let me give one example in the interest of time. I used to train, when I used to work at university, I used to train women to join the ICT sector. And I was maybe training them in networking. And by then we were not using wireless, we were using cabling. And so after training them, okay, send them to the market, but then the market says the woman cannot do cabling. Right? So you're not employable because you're not going to climb a pole, you're not going to lay a wire, because so you find that even if you have the digital knowledge, you are educated, you are not employable because of your gender. Now I'm saying that's what is problem in our organizations, but the point I'm going to mention here is that there is the issue we have to overcome even if we are promoting technology within financial inclusion sector. Even the issue of ownership, how many people own mobile phones that can do the transactions? Or the other way around, which organizations have the capability, for example, to provide services even on the most basic phone? And then, of course, there are issues of literacy and so on and so on. So there are quite a number of issues. Now, when we look at youth, and just to use an example of our work experience, youth are very mobile, right? And there are also issues of gender there. Generally, youth are very mobile. So So you form PSLA, you save the money, and you're going to share. By the time you come back, they have migrated. And for the female youth, usually the practice is to run away from where you're born, right? And so on. And so if you want a stable kind of population that you will come back and visit and check and so on, they have on the move. So how many of our organizations or systems have adapted our system to match that kind of level of mobility and dynamism among the youth? Perhaps during the discussions that will come up. So I want to take the example of, to follow the advice which was provided by the PS this morning. I said, let's move forward, let's focus on the solutions more than the problems. So let me try to focus on the solutions. So let me please move to the moving forward. So in terms of moving forward, always moving the slides, could you please advance a little bit? I don't want to go through all this, not necessarily. Move to the next one. Yes, moving forward, and that will be my, I think that's right. So in terms of moving forward, with this care, gender equality framework lens, how do we do it? All right? And these are just some examples. As I said, this is a very broad area. So one of the things that we need to focus on is to increase financial literacy, but the one that incorporates gender and inclusion. It's not just financial literacy. It's not enough, actually. I just again give one example. There is one project we are implementing. It's about encouraging people to plant trees. So we do community organization. The first meeting, the women come also. The first meeting, there's a good representation of women. So before you give the service, you run about 3-4 meetings. By the 4th meeting, when the women hear that it's focused on tree planting, they don't come back. They think it's not part of them. So in other words, it's not enough to simply pass on the technical knowledge, but also to pass on the information, the knowledge, the skills that will help us to roll out financial knowledge and skills with a gender perspective. So we need tailored literacy programs for women, for many groups, for youth. I also talk about those mobility, for people with disabilities who are also facing problems of stigma and exclusion just because they are disabled. So how do we, push for that? We need to use digital platforms which were the areas that provide attention to the digital right. I already explained that one. But also, it ensures gender inclusive access to financial services by promoting gender inclusive financial products. One of the things is, if you think about the use of land, for example, and also of land and buildings, etc. Even for land, is growing at a very small. The largest figure I checked was about 70% of land, only by women in Uganda. I know there is a growth on registered land, but most women are holding the 50 by 100 feet kind of growth. So there's a bit of improvement there, perhaps for the educated ones, but generally it's not. Why? Inheritance law and inheritance practices are still discriminatory. Strengthen gender inclusive social protection by supporting individuals and what you are calling collective agency. We learned that excluded groups, once you bring them together and then promote group cohesion, they survive better as a group. They can bargain better as a group, support each other, and so on. So promote village savings, road associations, groups, maybe group lending, maybe group paying back, I don't know. But some kind of group agency is effective. Finally, which is very important, and this has been one of the main obstacles to gender equality and financial inclusion in many areas, incorporate gender and social norms, shifting, look at the underlying structural issues, examine the policies, let's examine our guidelines, our lending guidelines, our lending policies, and so on. Even practices. And because we will be with these things for a very long time, it's very difficult for us to know we're even discriminating. including raising the gender awareness, knowledge of inclusion of the actors themselves, because who is helping us to navigate some of these things. And implement policies, Commissioner mentioned favorable policies, and indeed we have favorable policies in this country and in many other countries. Let's implement those which are good. If they are not good enough, let's formulate. And finally, if possible, and I think this one we have to really work some guidelines and reform those which are not working. I want to thank you for that, and I hope I've not kept you so much on tentacles, because I'm trying to struggle with between your attention and ending the day. So thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Dr. Madanda. You've made my job easier. What I'm picking from his presentation, in the spirit of leaving nobody behind, you have to go an extra mile. When it comes to financial inclusion for women, persons with disabilities, and of course older persons, mindful of the negative social norms, discrimination, inequalities that exist within our social fabric. But also, in terms of adapting our products and systems to address their needs and interests. I'm glad that as Government of Uganda, we've also come up with special programs for women, young people, and older persons. The Uganda Entrepreneurship Program is with us and still being implemented. The GROW project, unfortunately, the project coordinator could not make it. It's a new project that we are implementing specifically for women enterprise development. So we need to go an extra mile in terms of business development services. We also appreciate the banks that are implementing special programs for women in business and also for young people. What Dr. Madanda has not talked about surrounding social norms is the need to engage men when it comes to financial inclusion for women, but also engage in families. Because quite often they make the process and utilization of the finances by women better for them. So thank you very much. We don't have the rest of time to engage into question and answer sessions, but his presentation will be shared for the benefit of others. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. You know what it means when you give doctors only 5 minutes to present. So it's a challenge. Let me just enjoy the podium also. I was about to go without stepping on the green tap. I know that as of the heavy lunch and the sessions, most of you are beginning to contemplate or meditate. So may I request that you all stand up. Let's just stand up to stretch a little bit. And we are going to do some simple mathematics. Simple mathematics. You follow me, do as I do, and as I say. That's why I'm here, so that all of you can see me. We are preparing for our question and answer. Very exciting session of this afternoon. People do. It is 4. 4. Now the last one is 4 plus 4. Let's do 4 plus 4. Shake your waist a little bit. Yeah. So let's do 4. 4 plus 4 is equal to the last one. Hey! Okay, take your seat, take your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to have my roving microphones. In the meantime, as you prepare your questions, I'm going to ask the presenters for the last sessions who did not have the photo moment to step forward. We'll ask the commissioner, and these photos are accountability but also reference in the future. I heard you talk about in what sessions the need for financial literacy. The president is here. Stand up for recognition of the Financial Literacy Association of Uganda. So kindly presenters from the last session, the last two sessions, if you can step forward. Our delegates, also please step forward for a photo moment. Let's keep these photos. Let's do this fast. In the meantime, prepare your photos. President, please step forward. And enjoy this photo moment. Please step forward. Let's have. Yeah. In this audience, we also have our colleagues from CARE here, kindly welcome to the people. CARE Nigeria. We have CARE USA, United States of America, but has stepped out to an international office. Kindly capture this moment. We can't allow our photos to be looking like that. Yeah, some of you can go straight there. Because not after the session that we just talked about, we just talked about disparities. How can we have a photo? Yeah, thank you so much. Later on, I will call the organizers and okay, so we are going to keep our questions strictly to one. If you begin saying secondly, then I will switch off the mic. The other one, I want to appreciate all the presenters. So do not appreciate them. Give your question straight. Remember, we've had how many sessions? 3 sessions. So kindly keep your question straight to whom you want to respond. So the microphone, we have 2. One is on this side. I have the other one. We have a part of that one association that comes together and gets this information and takes it to the last person through the Financial Literacy Association. 2 things we are doing, like you who are here, and then for those who are not able to access this information, we are developing a chatbot together with NSSF, where all these conversations will be collected. AI is working, and you can be wherever you are and ask yourself a question around financial issues, around all these conversations, and be able to access it and take it to the last person. But we also want you to be part of us so that you're able to take this information to the last person who's not able to access it. Please get our contacts. CARE is already a wonderful partner in this meeting, and the Ministry, of course, government is doing very well after you are coming. But we'd like to have a cultural change. Cannot take one workshop or a seminar. It has to be consistent, and we think we need you on board. Thank you. Thank you very much. You can clap for him if you want.
Once again, thank you so much. It's been a great day. My encouragement goes towards to Uganda Energy something. Please can you extend your services to our markets so that our tomatoes, bananas don't ripen and get rotten, and then we lose market, and at the end of it, we lose what to sell. Thank you so much.
My name is Amanda Rosemary, Road Chairperson, Chamjin Sabo, Ushetu District. I've seen the ABI supporting some financial institutions.
Wezo Community from Mugirikiti. I've had many people, water project here, climate, and everybody is talking about inclusion. My question is, after you people identify and so on, as everybody has mentioned, why do you push these grants to the commercial banks to fix in other costs, then extend them to final consumers? Thank you.
Give the money to people who need it. Okay, that's right. You said?
water irrigation, if one example needs it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is my name from Amatu Alusako Aro. The issue I'm raising concerning gender inequality within the households, that we have those who access the loans, the finances, the male-headed and female-headed. And in most cases, we look at the different analyses. We will find that the loan sizes that are given to the female-headed, the female is